this is someone who's born and growing up in Yugoslavia. And this was a very tumultuous time in the country. So to make decisions of going to be living inwardly or spiritually and not just fitting in, that's a strong, it's a strong statement. Okay. So by the time Saturn hits his goal 94, let's see. Then, so that made a change and he made the adjustment. So you see, then it goes a whole another bunch of years till 1999 when Saturn hits his descendant. That's when his fiancée had a breakdown. So in that time, he'd been dating, he'd been relating, he'd been living his life, he'd been an interesting person, had a lady friend, got engaged, it's going along. And by the time Saturn hits his descendant, she has a breakdown and has schizophrenia and ends up institutionalized, or I believe, and he lost his relationship. Wow, that would affect his natal chart. That would affect his Uranus opposed to Venus, a shock to his emotions. It's the Saturn's going over descendant would affect his sense of security. That would have been a very significant, devastating time. And now as Saturn's going up and he's having to relate out in the world and function more and more, but he's having to function more without the relationship. Whew, it's contradictory, but he has a contradictory side. That Sun in the 4th house of the Pisces, he has a part that doesn't exactly fit in. The Neptune squaring the Sun, opposing Saturn, has a sort of escape side or an evasive side to not fitting in. I don't fit in here, don't fit in here. Why? And yet, so you can see the inner work going on to the outside chaos or confusion. But then after 99, didn't put anything until 2011 when he graduated positive psychology stress management. Well, 99 is when, or 99, 2011, that's Saturn's gone up above it. We didn't put something down for the midheaven, but it goes along. He's passed his opposition. He studied more things and he probably built along. And by the time Saturn hit his midheaven and opposed the Sun, he started deciding he need more. He learned stress management, psychology, and graduated from that by 2011, which would have been Saturn just transiting through his 12th house, coming up to the ascendant. So still another couple. That's a functional thing out in the world. It's interesting in retrospect to his disruptive relationship and to understanding relationships, understanding stress management, psychology. You can see the connection between these things, but it's building up to the identity crisis in 84. No, in 2000. Sorry, where are we? I got lost here. 2011, in 12, 13, yeah. So in 12, 13, a year or two later, still. So he added some other things down more for the 8-year graph, but in 2015, that's just after the ascendant, as Saturn's opposing itself and squaring the Sun, he had a major breakdown. Family, so he said after a series of fights with family around huge, unnecessary, and totally unexpected debt made behind his back, he's still repaying it, but he saved his house. So now he didn't put in when he bought the house, but having a house would have been a secure point for that Sun in the 4th house. That the family, moon up in the 9th house, this chain and the home has run money, it disrupted, used up his money or shook of money opposed to his earnings, and his place was threatened, so he had to work really hard to make some decisions to have to save his mortgage and pay off that debt. Okay, we don't know the whole story, but we have a sense of this. That was 2015. So that's just as Saturn's squaring the Sun, going down from the first house towards the 2nd house. Okay, in fact, yeah, it's pretty much as it goes into the 2nd house, we have the several years and the concern about worries and the personal things of how to deal with that. And then in 2017, that's when he graduated from theology. So he started studying his mystical thing. Even though he's got that personal pressures in the world, he balanced it with his personal studies, and he was studying theology at a US place, and I don't know what place, he just put it there, but he's learning the theology. And then he graduated in theology in 2017. So 2017, where are we? Saturn's still just in Sagittarius down here, going down into his 3rd house. We're going down 2nd, 3rd house in this area anyways. And when it happened before. Like, it's interesting when he got when he got his theology based, he got the theology, graduated theology 30 years before. 30 years before, that was when he formed his ozone club and was working with programming. So there's starting to be connections between what happened before and when you start to fill in this, you start to see what's happening before and after. So we've worked with our own, you know what this does, but it's just allowing us to build up this continuity in a person's life. Saturn's going to blow. He has an identity crisis. 2012, it had the breakdown by 2015, but the insecurity came along during that time period. It wasn't until it squared his sun that the breakdown came in, but it started 2 years before with Saturn hitting the ascendant and having the identity crises and not feeling one's fit in, being insecure, and that inadequacy, that depression that happens at the ascendant, it tells you what's needed, and slowly one begins to have to add new things. You can't stay in the past. You can't stay where you're having to move new things. That's the growth rate. This is the most powerful studying, learning time. The first time was the programming, the martial, the Tai Chi, this martial art, but also the music, all built up during this first phase. The second phase, it's the theology and the and the theology. And then in this phase here, 2017, in this period, he started to study with astrology, and that's how he's in this class. Okay, so okay, so we see he's in this phase of personal growth right now. He's going through, Saturn's going through this phase of personal growth. It's past the identity. He's working on things that's moving back towards his point of motivation and defining goals again when it's down below where he got in his enlightenment. Saturn's coming back 30 years to see where am I from there. So there's something coming up. He's coming up to have to deal with it, come up to get the next level of that. What am I going to do next? What's the next cycle of this? Okay, so, okay. How are we doing for time? Oh, we've got lots of time. Okay, so this just even one or two of these things gives you enough to really focus on. The reason I focus so strongly on the enlightenment because it was something close. It wasn't exactly on the IC, but it's close enough to still be affected by that crisis of integrity, the need for personal motivation, trying to find what I'm motivated by, how I want to live, what I want to do. And he decides, I don't want to work out in the midheaven. I want to live in my own understanding. And he gets his own enlightenment in that process and starts to work at it. Okay, and then he's built up his world through that, added other things, worked on relationships, worked on career, got more degrees, more accomplishment. But he has these accomplishments, but it's we don't know. We didn't know, like, you know, he graduated in psychology and stress management, then he graduated in theology. So that he was still studying during this whole period, it probably means he wasn't just burning on work and doing the work. He was dealing with things, but he had this other agenda building up his inner things. So his early motivation was kind of a gold mine or inner core dealing with the outer world scenarios. And now he's moving back towards that inner depth, that personal depth again. So just from the pieces we go, I've just looked at that and I've put them on the wheel to try and make a sense of it, keep a sense of it till I got a time perspective on this. Okay. And now, right here. Okay. So now, I'm going to make this a little smaller here so we can work with them too. Put this over here. I'm going to pull the Saturn graph over here. So let's see what we need, and we're going to keep looking at the. So we see Saturn down in this phase of personal growth, going from the identity crisis to personal motivation to one's integrity. How am I going to live? What am I going to do? It's energy that's not working towards more seniority or more status in the world. It's more depth it's going towards. Okay, so we got a general theme here. Now, I mean, when we're doing this, there's all kinds of other aspects going on. There's Saturn making other aspects. All the other planets are making aspects. So much going on. But this is the core you need to see the backbone as it's moving. Everything else can be added on. And while I added on with the 8-year graph. This includes all the aspects from Saturn, Uranus, and Pluto, not just the ones that make the lifetime spiral. Now we look at his chart. This is done from 2014 up to 2021. So we're now just in 2019, but he did this for when he was doing the classes, so it would have been in the fall of 2018. So he put the 4 years before. So we have really 5 years back and 3 years forward. He did send me a message in this week since the last time, so I gave you the information. He is concerned about money and the commitments to money, how he's going to make more money. He's been studying so much. He's concerned about how to financially survive and make more money and stuff. It was a concern going on. So, and how do we deal with this? So that was partly his question. He probably knows the answer already anyways, because he's at this level. But when we're going to look at the 8-year graph, we know he's in this personal growth phase, coming from the identity crisis, going to the personal depth. First is difficulties around identity. Saturn in the second has difficulties with money. Saturn third is difficult expressing oneself. And all the time you're having to put up, you're not being respected, but you're having to learn and stretch to fix those things in little ways until you can get down to the IC where you know, I got to go differently, I got to change. So when I look at the 8-year graph, you see them spread out fairly different ones, but I start with the outer planets first. I'm going to start with Pluto first and look what Pluto did over these last 4 years, over the next 4 years. We see 2014, 2015. Let me just pull this up again. 2014, 2015. I don't really have anything in there, not from Pluto, but Pluto in 2016 squares his Venus, 2017 squares his Venus, squares his Venus, squares his Venus, 2018 squares his Venus. He's only just got out of the square to Venus this last month. So the squares to Venus, Pluto brings confrontations around emotions, around money, around love, around appreciation, around the choices you make in life, around what you have. And it's harsh, it's confronting. And you're not getting what you want when Pluto squares Venus, and not without a fight, not without a real challenge. So you know there's harsh financial realities going on 2016-15. But with 2016 and 17, well, you see June 2015. Now in June 2015, Pluto's not there. We'll come to other things, but in June, he had a major breakdown after a series of fights with family around huge and unnecessary and totally unexpected debt made behind his back. He's still replaying it, but he's saying it. So they probably took out money and spent things, jeopardizing his mortgage on the house. So he had to work on things to pay those. So this Pluto was dealing with banks, Pluto to the Venus, and money, and trying to figure out how we're going to pay this, how we're going to do it. Oh, geez, how to do without this, how to do without, and how to make these harsh payments. That harsh payments would have taken away from his lifestyle. Like he has Uranus opposed to Venus. A bit more recent stages here so we can go back and forth.